Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Writer's Toolbox. Today, we're diving into our next tool, description. Can you remember a text that engaged you so fully that you completely lost track of reality, of time, of yourself? A text that immersed you so deeply that the characters felt like friends, the scenes felt like memories of places you'd actually visited. The successes and failures, heartbreaks and strokes of luck, all moved you through a roller coaster of emotion. To build a world that compels and engages our readers like this takes massive skill. In this video, we'll focus on strategies to help you breathe life into your ideas and immerse your readers fully into the scenes where those ideas live. Again, capturing a contained scene in all its detail and transmitting that little pocket world to your reader is tricky business. So, we'll also cover some of the common pitfalls writers experience while attempting description. Let's get started. First, descriptive writing involves paying close attention to detail by using all 5 of your senses. Often, people who rely on sight as their primary sense focus on visual descriptions alone to bring their scenes to life, while neglecting all the other potential sensory details that bring scenes to vivid life. Remember then to paint a full picture by including all sensory details: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. For an example, let's look at the first page of The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman and try to notice all the words that support a full range of sensory detail in the passage. The woods were full of sound, the stream between the rocks, the wind among the needles of the pine branches, the chitter of insects and the cries of small arboreal mammals, as well as the bird song. And from time to time, a stronger gust of wind would make one of the branches of a cedar or a fir move against one another and groan like a cello. It was a place of brilliant sunlight, never undappled. Shafts of lemon gold brilliance lanced down to the forest floor between bars and pools of green-brown shade. And the light was never still, never constant, because drifting mist would often float among the treetops, filtering all of the sunlight to a pearly sheen, and brushing every pine cone with moisture that glistened when the mist lifted. Beautiful. Descriptions of light and water, the specifics of flowers and trees, and verbs of sound and movement convey a living forest that a reader can get lost in, while details of pines, cedars, and lemon gold light give off the sense of the forest that fully transport the audience. All right, let's next talk about types of description. The information we can give about a subject can either be qualitative, how something seems or its subjective traits, or quantitative, how something is expressed in measured numerical values or its objective traits. For example, if I were to describe a tall man, qualitatively, I might write, "He was so tall, he seemed to loom over me like a tower." Quantitatively, I would explain, he was 6 feet and 7 inches tall and was forced to duck each time he passed through a doorway. Depending on the kind of writing you're engaging in, or the way your protagonist sees the world, you might opt for one of these types of description or the other, or maybe a mix of both. Certainly, your chemistry instructor doesn't want you to report that you mixed what seemed like a lot of potassium into solution, while your vibrant, emotionally charged protagonist might not describe her true love by giving you the dimensions of his jawline. In any case, consider whether you want to take a more objective or subjective approach to your writing before you get started. Next, let's look at the journalist questions: who, what, when, where, and how. To fill in a scene completely, be sure you can supply answers to all of these questions. Let's imagine we're describing a tense dinner party. Who is involved? Main characters only. No one wants a list of every person and every room your characters visit. Including people into my list of characters worth mentioning indicates that character's importance. So, if at my dinner party I mention the maid refilling glasses several times, my readers will assume she plays a role in the plot of my story and will be disappointed if she doesn't. Remember that often with description, less is more. The best descriptions are focused, simple, and purposeful, while long, meandering descriptions derail the reader's focus. In other words, you want to sprinkle your descriptions throughout your writing so that they complement the ideas or plot you're trying to develop, not bury them. All right, our next journalist question: what is involved? Again, give descriptions sparingly and only to the things that are relevant to your story. If I describe the juicy ham centered on the table, it better be an object worthy of mention. If our dinner party is eating juicy hams while the poor people of the city are starving just outside, then yes, give me loads of details about the ham. But if every home in the city has a ham on the table, then the detail is purposeless and needs to be cut. When is the action taking place? Give details about the global when and the local when. If we're sitting in a parlor in the 1930s, you could mention the time period specific clothes of the attendees, or the bell of a beggar outside that keeps ringing, indicating how the economic crisis of the Great Depression colors the party. Giving a few local details about the time of day, the light, and the weather is also essential to ground the reader in real time and space. Where is the action taking place? Again, consider global and local places. Our smaller setting of a rich parlor within the larger setting of Great Depression era America gives our story the juicy contrasts and intrigue that attracts a reader. Finally, how? How are the characters speaking, acting, interacting? How does the maid look at the senator's wife? How does the lawyer's bloodshot eyes plead with the senator to listen to reason? Asking how at every opportunity will bring glorious detail to your work that will certainly make your scenes pop off the page. Let's look at another example. Here's a passage from James Aggie's Knoxville, summer of 1915. Notice the author answering the journalist's questions and focusing on only the important figures. On the rough, wet grass of the backyard, my father and mother have spread quilts. We all lie there, my mother, my father, my uncle, my aunt, and I too am lying there. They are not talking much, and the talk is quiet, of nothing in particular, of nothing at all in particular, of nothing at all. The stars are wide and alive. They seem each like a smile of great sweetness, and they seem very near. All my people are larger bodies than mine, with voices gentle and meaningless, like the voices of sleeping birds. One is an artist. He is living at home. One is a musician. She is living at home. One is my mother, who is good to me. One is my father, who is good to me. By some chance, here they are, all on this earth, and who shall ever tell the sorrow of being on this earth, lying on quilts, on the grass, in a summer evening, among the sounds of the night? Wow. Even the author's description of nothing in particular shows us how his family is enjoying and focused solely on their moment together. Nothing else seems to matter but lying on quilts in the grass together. Okay, let's talk some more about precise language. In any on-writing guide, you'll surely read the phrase, show, don't tell. This advice is much easier said than done. However, by avoiding vague words and phrases and replacing them with active, precise descriptions, we can succeed where others fail. Here are some vague words to avoid. Be verbs in the present tense, like I am, you are, he, she, it is, and was and were in the past tense. Telling your reader that a character is sad is boring. Instead, show them what sadness looks like or how it feels. Maybe your character feels hollowed out, empty, useless. Maybe they remain in bed with the curtains drawn for 2 weeks, blocking all calls and texts, even from family and friends. Whatever your description, it will certainly be more vivid and engaging than just telling your reader that the character was sad. We can also try to avoid vague words like get, got, move, moved, go, went, things, stuff, good, bad, and big. Compare the following sentences. The dog moved across the room with a bad look on its face. The dog lunged across the room, snarling and snapping its jaws. By replacing vague words with specific active nouns and verbs, we can succeed in our goal to show, not tell. Let's look at another example. Here we have a description of a riverbank from Kenneth Graham's Wind in the Willows. He thought his happiness was complete when, as he meandered aimlessly along, suddenly he stood by the edge of a full-fed river. Never in his life had he seen such a river before. This sleek, sinuous, full-bodied animal, chasing and chuckling, gripping things with a gurgle and leaving them with a laugh, to fling itself on fresh playmates that shook themselves free and were caught and held again. All was a shake and a shiver, glints and gleams and sparkles, rustle and swirl, chatter and bubble. The mole was bewitched, entranced, fascinated. By the side of the river he trotted, as one trots, when very small, by the side of a man who holds one spellbound by exciting stories, and when tired at last, he sat on the bank, while the river still chattered on to him, a babbling procession of the best stories in the world, sent from the heart of the earth to be told at last to the insatiable sea. Amazing. Look at all those verbs that bring action, movement, and life into the scene. All right. Finally, let's talk about figurative language. Often, descriptive writing includes similes, metaphors, onomatopoeia, and analogy to bring a scene to life. To explore figurative language, let's look at another example. Here we have a piece from Tender is the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Watch for the figurative language. It was pleasant to drive back to the hotel in the late afternoon, above a sea as mysteriously colored as the agates and cornelians of childhood, green as green milk, blue as laundry water, wine dark. Of course, the water in the sea is nothing like a rock. One is liquid, the other solid, and they could hardly be more different. But the swirling colors we can see in both paint an interesting and compelling picture. Green milk, laundry water, and dark wine all swirling together, such strange mixtures pique my imagination. Unfortunately, like all tools, analogy and metaphor can be used the wrong way and inevitably cause more damage to our work than good. For example, let's say I'm describing a deadly assassin, and I write that she's sneaking down a hallway so stealthily it's as if she's wearing slippers. Yes, slippers do dampen our footsteps, so we walk softly. But do I really want to put the image of my dangerous assassin in fuzzy bunny slippers into my reader's mind? Of course not. So, be careful when you make comparisons. Be sure to take into consideration all of the possible connotations of the comparison and ask if those connotations support your goals for the story. All right. Thank you for joining me as we add new tools to our writer's toolbox. I hope you found today's video insightful. To practice all the skills we learned today, consider engaging in the writing prompt at the end of the video. Post your response in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more writing tools. Until next time, stay interested so that you can stay interesting.